Making sense of benefits is not just a challenge for the employers that provide them. They can be just as confusing for the employees who receive them, especially when it comes to making the most of them through retirement. Mike Fertig's here with a primer. He's Managing Director of Sales and Financial Advisor Development with Fragasso Financial Advisors, a sponsor of our region's business. And welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Lots of uncertainties these days. We've heard before a little bit about the uncertainty around health insurance in our region. A lot of uncertainty about the new health care legislation, the health reform bill. And I guess if there's anything that is certain, it's that the cost of health care in retirement is not going to go down.
It is another expense that retirees will be forced to deal with, and it certainly seems that folks retired now will pay a certain amount, and that amount is going to continue to increase for folks in future retirements.
I doubt a lot of folks are, you're thinking about retirement income. Probably not many people are really taking into account the cost of that Medigap insurance, all the co-pays and deductibles and prescription drugs and everything else that Medicare doesn't pay for.
For sure. I saw a study recently, a couple of different groups came to the same number. And the number's pretty staggering. In retirement, it's expected that retirees retiring today, 65-year-old couple, normal expected retirement of 20 to 30 years, they'll pay near $250,000 in those types of payments for co-pays and deductibles in their retirement years. And that's a big number for anybody.
Wow, so that's even if Medicare stays pretty much the way we all know and love it today, and it's going to be there for you. Still that kind of expense just to pick up what the government doesn't pay for.
That's correct. That's correct. And not based on a whole lot of, significant increases. They're talking about the cost of increases in medical care, general price inflation. So you're not talking about, well, that's the case if we have significant different legislation. That's today.
So do you have a sense that today's workers, especially the baby boomers who are beginning to retire, are they really preparing the way they need to be able to handle this kind of expense?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that we see most frequently is the fact that folks are unprepared for that type of expense. And you think about the fact that they've been saving for retirement, college education perhaps, and now there's this other expense that's more significant than they'd prepared for. In fact, I read another article where they said about half of the folks who are retired today are finding that they're spending far more on the medical side than they ever anticipated.
Wow. So it makes the importance of taking full advantage of retirement accounts through wherever you can find them, right?
For sure.
That much bigger a deal.
Absolutely. Yeah, and certainly the employer-sponsored plan is typically the best opportunity for folks to take advantage of. Beyond that, IRAs, personal savings, it really is important to start as soon as you can and to continue to do that as regularly as possible.
Now, when you look at health reform, is that going to impact all of this, especially the financial side?
Yeah, I think we have to consider the fact that if it will be more expensive for the employer to fund that and those costs, then where do they make that up? And a lot of people speculate that that could potentially be made up with fewer options available for the employee. So whether that's in profit-sharing contributions or other cafeteria planned options, it certainly seems that there's a possibility of less opportunities and options for the employees. They're going to have to be more self-reliant.
Okay, so more responsibility. One of the big advantages you have under the old law and currently were these flexible spending accounts, right, where you could essentially get a tax break on all your medical expenses, but they're actually being tightened up as part of health reform.
Yeah, flexible spending accounts will be not so flexible spending accounts in the future. You've got not only a limit, a cap that will be put on, and the cap is, I believe, $2,500. If you, of course, overestimate and you don't use all that up, you lose it. But for many people, they're able right now to write off even the cost of over-the-counter prescriptions and drugs. If this goes through the way that we see it, that will no longer be the case. It will be just those medical expenses that are defined in the plan.
Wow. So it sounds like at the very least, you really got to keep an eye on all of this as it unfolds. It's a moving target, which makes it from a planning standpoint that much more challenging.
Planning is certainly the key. You will not get by with random luck. You really will have to keep an eye on it.
All right. A lot to think about. Mike Fertig from Fragasso Financial Advisors. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Thank you.
it. And next up, diversity in the workplace. Plenty of our region's employers say it's a big concern, but few are walking the walk like our next guest. Stay with us.